Hi, and welcome back to COMM1160. This is week 3, video number 3. This will be a bit of a longer video because we're going to be going over the references list in APA format. So before we get started with the details, let's just talk about the references list in general. The references list appears on the last page of your paper. So whatever assignment or essay or piece of writing that you're working on, the references page always comes at the end. It should be produced on a separate page, and it still has the page number. It needs to have an entry for every resource that you've consulted in creating your assignment or your essay, and those resources need to appear in alphabetical order. Let's take a look at the fake paper, the template that I put up for you here, and we'll take a look at the sample references page that's been produced there. So here's the references page. Let's just go over some of the details here in general. At the top of the page, you have the word references centered. And then each of these items that you can see here is an entry, okay, in the references list. Now, I don't have this in proper alphabetical order. This one actually should be. I'll just cut that one because that was an example that I used in a previous term and put it down here at the bottom. But each of these entries here represents a different research source that this person used in constructing their essay. Okay, so this first one here, okay, is the first one that appears. You'll notice, okay, that it is lined up over to the left-hand side for the first line of the entry. It's double spaced. And then the second or any subsequent line of the entry is tabbed in. So it's the reverse of a paragraph. In a paragraph, you start off by indenting the first line. The reverse is true for the references list. The first line lines up over on the left, right by the margin, and the second and any subsequent line follows with a tab over. And so again, each of these entries has or represents, I should say, a different resource that the person has looked at in constructing their actual essay. So, confusing? Not so far. Where it does get confusing is that each entry is formatted differently depending on what type of research resource it is. So let's go back to that and we'll take a look. We'll start talking about books and ebooks because those are the easiest. When you're including an entry on your references list for a book or an ebook, you're going to be following a certain pattern, okay? And the pattern is the author's last name, followed by a comma, a space, the author's initial or initials, using a period after each initial, a space, a bracket, the year of publication, you close the bracket, and you put in a period. Then you're going to put in the title of the book, and the title of the book needs to be in italics. It takes a capital letter on the first word of the title or any proper names. So proper nouns like names of countries or names of individuals. You also include a capital if you have what they call internal punctuation. So like a colon that identifies a subtitle, you would capitalize after the colon. But if it's just a regular title, it's just the title of the book in italics, lowercase on all the other letters, followed by a period, and then the name of the publisher of that book. You may get different details as you're looking up your reference for the book that you're using, but the only things that you include are these items. Okay, so if you include any extra information, APA would consider that to be an error. Only these items that you see on the screen are ones that you need to include. So let's take a look at an example. Here's a book. The title is The Elements of Library Research, What Every Student Needs to Know. So I have the author's last name followed by a comma, the first initial, the second initial, the year of publication in a bracket, the title of the book, The Elements of Library Research, There's a colon because we have a subtitle there, what every student needs to know, followed by a period. Then the name of the publisher, Princeton University Press. Let's just go over where you would find that information. So I'm going to go into our library system here, and I'm just going to pull up a book at random in our ebooks database. So I'm going to go into ebook collection. And let's just look up a book about diabetes. Just do that quickly. Okay, so here's one. Diabetes, oxidative stress, and dietary antioxidants. So all of the information I'm going to need, okay, is here. But again, I have some additional information that I don't require for APA. So I'm going to be selective in what I pick. Here's the last name, Preety, and the author's first name, Victor R. So it would be Preety, comma, V period, space, R period, space. My year is over here, 2014. So I would open up a bracket, put in 2014, close the bracket, followed by a period. The name of my book, Diabetes, Oxidative Stress, and Dietary Antioxidants. I would put that in italics with a capital D on diabetes, a capital O on oxidative, but then the rest would be all lowercase. And then the name of my publisher, Academic Press, followed by a period. So it's quite easy to do, excuse me, as long as you are including all of the information that you need. So I'm going to ask you to give it a try. I'm going to ask you to pause the video right now, and I'm going to get you to look at the information that's on the screen from the library catalog and try, just on some scrap paper, to create a references entry for the following book. So the book is titled Labors of Love, Nursing Homes and the Structures of Care Work. The author is somebody called Jason Rodriguez. The publisher is New York University Press. I've also included the ISBN number, which you'll sometimes see when you're looking at a library entry, and then the date of publication. Pause right now. With what you've learned about the actual format of books and ebooks, create a references entry for this particular book. Okay, so you're back, and I assume you've given that a try. Compare your answer to the answer that's up on the screen to see that you have everything correctly. So we have our author's last name, Rodriguez, followed by a comma, J period, bracket, space, bracket, 2014, close the bracket, period. Next comes the name of the book, Labors of Love, with a capital L on labors. And then our subtitle, Nursing Homes and the Structure of Care Work, with a capital N on nursing because it's after a colon. Then we have a period, another space, and then the name of the publisher, New York University Press. Okay, so that's books and ebooks. They're fairly easy. Now let's take a look at how we're going to format for journal articles. That, I will warn you, is more complicated because there are more elements that you need to include for your references entry. Take a look at the graphic that I put on the screen for you here, and you can actually see what a journal article entry looks like. And let's go over the different elements. So you're going to start with the author or authors' names. So it's going to be Ruxton, comma, C, period, space, then the year of publication. Okay, just the year. Even if you know the month and the date that it was published, APA only wants you to put the year there in the bracket. Then you're going to have the title of the article. So in this case, it's T, colon, hydration and other health benefits, period. Notice that the article title is just in plain type, so not in italics, not underlined, just plain. and it takes a capital letter on the first word of the title and a capital letter on any word after internal punctuation, like a colon, but everything else is lowercase. Okay. Again, the only exception would be if you have a proper noun in there. So if you had the word Canada, for example, in your title, you would put a capital C on Canada. Then you have a period. The next thing that you include is the name of the journal, the title of the journal. In this case, this article appeared in Primary Healthcare. The journal title appears in italics, and it actually takes a capital letter on each word in the title, except for those little baby words, prepositions and conjunctions like and, the, in. Okay, any of those words were taught in grade school not to capitalize. Those go lowercase, but every major word is capitalized. Then you have a comma. Right? Then you have some numbers here. Okay, the first number is the volume number that this article appeared in, and it needs to be in italics. Right after that, in a bracket, you have the issue number. That is not in italics. Okay, that's just regular print, just to make it confusing, I guess. Then you're going to have a comma. You're then going to have the page range. So this article started on page 34 and concluded on page 42, followed by a period. The last thing you're going to include, if you have one, is that long DOI number. And if you think back to last week, remember I said some articles have DOI numbers, some do not. If you don't have one, you would end right after the page reference. But if you do have one, you're going to include it, okay, in your references entry. So let's just go over that again quickly. You're going to start with author, year of publication, article title, journal title, volume, issue, page range, DOI. Okay, a lot to remember, but let's give it a try. I'm going to ask you again to pause the video and try to create a references entry for the following information that I'm giving you here on the screen. So the article title is How the Economics of Dental Assisting is Impacting Your Practice. The author is somebody named Joanne Dolly. It comes from a journal called Dental Economics, and it was published in April 2020 in volume 110, issue number 4. It's a 3-page article. It starts on page 12 and concludes on page 14. With this information and the notes that you've taken about the actual formatting for journal articles, create a rough references entry. In the next screen, we're going to take a look at the answer. Okay, so I'm going to assume you started the video again. It's time now to compare your answer and take a look at what you've written. So the first thing you want to have written is the author's last name, followed by a comma, and then the first initial. You're then going to have the year of publication, 2020, in the bracket, followed by a period. Then you'll have the title, How the Economics of Dental Assisting is Impacting Your Practice, with a capital H on how and lowercase for the rest of the article. You're then going to have the name of the journal, Dental Economics, with a capital D on dental and a capital E on economics, followed by a comma. The number 110 in italics, followed by a bracket without a space with the number 4 in it, close the bracket, comma, 12-14, period. Okay, good job. You've just done your first references entry for a journal article. But I want to tell you a secret. And what I want to do is teach you how to learn a bit of a cheat. To be able to do journal article references entries fairly quickly. So I'm going to bring you back to the library's page, and I'm going to go into the databases that allow me to access articles. So I'm going to go back into EBSCO, and I'm just going to pick Health Source Nursing Academic Edition. Okay, and let's find an article about diabetes. And again, I'm going to remember to limit to full text. And I'll just go in and pick one at random. Okay, let's take this one for example. So imagining I was using this article, what I could do is get the computer to actually create the references entry for me. So I'm going to go over here to this thing, the yellow page over here on the side where it says Cite. I'm going to click on this, and it's going to bring up a box for me with all sorts of different bibliographic methods. Remember that ours is APA 7th edition. It has done the references entry for me here. Now, I do want to warn you, it is a computer, so it doesn't do it perfectly. We will need to make some modifications to it, but it gives you all of the information in order. You can then play around with the formatting. So if I wanted to cheat with this, all I would need to do is copy and then paste into a Word document and then make the necessary modifications. Okay, so again, just to get into that little bit of a cheat, remember, click on the title of the article, look for the yellow page over on the side, click it, make sure that you scroll down to APA 7th edition, and there you have your references entry. Okay, nice and easy. So it means that you don't need to do all sorts of typing. It is important to know the order in which things go and the different formatting rules, because again, the computer doesn't recognize the formatting and you may need to make some changes. But at least the bulk of the work, the lion's share of the work, is done for you. Okay, so nice and easy and a definite time saver. In terms of websites, okay, when we're doing websites are, again, easy, but they can be a little bit confusing because different websites contain different information. There's no one standard for where information is put. If you have a website where it's an organization, so a company or a government agency or something like that that's providing the information, we call that a corporate author. You put in the name of the corporate author. If you have a year, okay, you put the year in a bracket. But if you don't have a year, you would put in N period, D period for no date. Then you're going to put in the title of the website, okay, that you're looking at. And it's going to be, it's not in italics, it's just in regular text. Okay. Again, following those capitalization rules. So capital letter on the first word of the website, including a capital letter if you have the internal punctuation, but everything else is lowercase, followed by a period. And then you would have the actual URL where somebody could locate that particular website. If you do have an author's name, so if it is an individual that's posting information on the web, you use the author's name. If you do have a date, you put in the year followed by a comma and then the month and the date. Okay, and oftentimes this is at the bottom of a website. So it might say date of last update, okay, or updated date or copyright date. All websites are a little bit different, so you do have to hunt a little bit to find that. Again, okay, I have the name of the website that it's coming from, and then the URL where I can actually find the website. If you need more help with APA, because this is really just a very general introduction, you can look up stuff about APA on the web, but you need to be very careful with what you see about APA on the internet, because a lot of the information is incorrect or outdated. If you look up things pertaining to APA on the web, make sure that you're using information from a library or the APA organization itself. The best place to start is at the Niagara College Library. and you're going to click on the Citation and Plagiarism tab, and you want to select APA. So I'll just show you this. We'll go back to the library's website, and I'll show you where you can find additional information. So I'm going to click on Citation and Plagiarism, and then I'm going to click on APA Style. And you can see, right, that I have all sorts of information here. References list, sample papers, and an actual learning module that I can complete. Okay, and I would really recommend that you complete this module so that you can go over and really reinforce what the information that I provided to you in this video. Okay, lots of stuff that you can use here. The references list part is really, really helpful, okay, because it goes over journal or magazine, web page or website, book or ebook, but it also contains other things that you may use, like video and audio, a government or organization report, a dictionary or encyclopedia entry, or personal communications. So say, for example, if you were sending an email to someone and they sent you some information back in an email, how you would cite that information. But generally, what you're going to be using are journal articles and books and ebooks. So that's what we really focus on. In our next video, I'm actually going to go through the referencing assignment portion of our first assignment and give you some instructions on that so that you'll actually get a chance to apply everything that we've learned in these videos. I'll talk to you in our next video.